The book is, I have it here with me, it's called The Revenue Engine.
I love it.
The last third of the book talks about this in depth, and it's all about measuring volume, velocity, and value in the pipeline. So we call it the 3 Vs. And I believe that if you can, as a marketer, if you can show up to the meeting with having one volume, one value, and one velocity metric that you track, just start there. This is the bare minimum. You can track one of these. You will come to the table with a point of view that very few marketers bring to the table regularly.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Future of Selling podcast. On our podcast, we look at trends and innovations and anything that impacts the future of sales or the sales landscape. And my name is Rick Smith. I'm your host today. Very excited about our guests that we've got on our podcast, Kara Smith Brown. So give you a little bit about Kara. Kara is a distinguished leader at B2B marketing and go-to-market strategies, which is pretty impressive. I like that. CEO and founder of LeadCoverage, which is really cool. We'll talk more about that, I'm sure. I also like this one. You're the author of a book called The Revenue Engine. So I'm a little bit of kind of got this saying I want to write a book one day. So that kind of give me a cool factor. I also like the fact, and we'll definitely jump into this, that you took your book and you turned it into a framework, and that you're helping people with that, which is great. So Kara, welcome. Great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. We're going to have a great conversation. I'm really interested in this topic, so hopefully I do it justice. It's going to be great. I do like to start with a couple of fun facts, though, if that's okay. Just, because I want people to kind of know who you are. I mean, great resume, without a doubt, right? But also just to kind of know a little bit about you. So 2 things I'd picked up, and you can add to it if you want. But you're an Ironman triathlete. Is that correct?
That is true. Yes, I finished the Ironman Moo, they call it Moo, Ironman, Wisconsin, 2009.
2009. Okay, good deal. You had fun. You set any records? It was just like personal achievement. What was the story?
I did not set any records. It was personal achievement for sure.
All right.
I'm a goal-oriented person, and a guy that I went to high school with that I had a crush on told me that I wasn't athletic enough to do it.
Really?
Yeah. That's really the reason why I did it, is that I've had prove this guy wrong. So I did.
So if someone tells you can't, you're leaning in.
It is 100% what drives me. And the people in my life that know me very well have actually used it against me.
Well, I don't know if we'll get into any of those stories, but I'd love to hear them if we, maybe afterwards. But
it is an easy way to get me to do something, is to say that it can't be done.
All right. That's awesome. I like that. The other fun fact that I found out was that you're the co-founder of an organization called Close Her. Close
Her. Yeah. Instead of
I read it. I wrote it down like Close Stutter, and I'm no, that's Close Her. So
yeah, I should probably take this off my bio because we haven't resurrected it since the pandemic. But
okay,
pandemic, Jordan Arrighetti and I, she was one of the top rep at Sales Loft at the time. She was looking for women in sales to build her network. And I said, Hey, let's just do this. Let's make this happen in Atlanta. And so we did.
Yeah.
So it went on for a couple of years, and we had a couple hundred women on our list, and it was awesome. We had a blast.
Wow. That's really cool. And the reason that always grabs my attention, I've interviewed a couple of people who have organizations like that serve specifically women. My daughter, she's 3 years old, and she's in sales, right? And she's in an industry that pretty male dominated, right? And so anyway, I'm always interested in that kind of stuff and trying to give her things to watch and things to look at, because she's really good at what she does, and just it's such a difference maker. So anyway.
I have 2 daughters.
Okay,
and they are 11 and 12.
Okay,
and one of them will sell. She's got the bug. She's got all the skills. And we tell her this. We're like, honey, you're going to sell. I want you to sell the most expensive thing that you can possibly sell.
Yeah.
She's like, diamonds. And I'm like, no. Other people's businesses. So her track is already set in life. Because she goes to the dog park and she knows everybody's name. And she's girl. She's great.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, I hope you get the chance to start the organization back up, because I know there's a
Thanks. I
lot.
should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna mention it. I should put some effort behind it.
Yeah. Well, then that's not like me telling you what you should do. So there, there you go. All right, good deal. Well, let's jump into it. The topic interests me a lot, right? Because I'm chief customer officer now, but I spent about a year or so in an interim CRO role, right? So I had sales and customer success and everything else, and so during that time frame, learned a lot about more about marketing than I'd ever known before, right? And you talk about alignment issues with marketing and sales and things like that. So really interested to hear your point of view on a few things. Let me ask this. One of the things I read was about the alignment of marketing and business outcomes. So how do you align marketing with business outcomes? And the reason I'm asking, in my experience, marketing, the outcomes you see from marketing are soft, right? They're not as easy to see, not as easy to put your finger on. Like, did you renew the client? Did you not renew the client in the customer success world? Different from marketing. So anyway, talk about that a little bit. How do you align marketing initiatives with business outcomes?
Yeah. So the book is, I have it here with me. It's called The Revenue Engine.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to get
I wrote the book and I got my first check from Forbes for my residuals from the book, and it was like $300.
Right.
So you don't have, it doesn't actually pay me a lot of money, but I'm really glad we had it.
Yeah.
The last third of the book talks about this in depth, and it's all about measuring volume, velocity, and value in the pipeline. So we call it the 3 V's. And I believe that if you can, as a marketer, if you can show up to the meeting with having one volume, one value, and one velocity metric that you track, just start there. This is the bare minimum. You can track one of these. You will come to the table with a point of view that very few marketers bring to the table regularly. So volume is how many, right? How many are in any stage of the funnel, right? So you want to do top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel, whatever it is. How many, and are we agreed on that as a team? How much is that phase of the funnel worth? And this question of what is our average deal size, ARR, LTV, whatever you want to call it,
right,
is usually a question that our clients can't answer.
Okay.
So when we say, hey, what's your average deal size? It's like, oh, anywhere from 3,000 to 3 million. We're like, that's not an average. That's right.
True that.
What is the number? Like, give me the number.
Yeah.
So oftentimes if a marketer brings these 3 metrics to the table, it will spark a conversation.
Okay.
And conversation can end with, okay, this is now what we're agreed to measure.
Right.
But most of the time, the marketer isn't the one bringing the math.
Okay.
And so they're always on their heels, right? Like, show me what you got. Show me, like, what have you done for me lately? What are you promising me, right? And instead, show up with your own map, have your own point of view, and ask the rest of the folks in the room the hard question. Hey, you're going to hold me accountable for my campaigns. I'm going to hold you accountable for our average deal size.
So I really like that statement. Show up with your own point of view, right? Don't be on your heels. Such just a critically important piece of it. Otherwise, you're right. You're always going to be the person that shows up and they're just piling on, right? So how many, how much, average ARR, whatever the metric is, and then velocity. Talk about that a little bit. Velocity.
Yeah, velocity is how fast. And what's really interesting is that velocity requires a little bit more than the other two, right? It requires CRM. It requires diligence by your sales team. You want to hold a sales team accountable, start measuring velocity.
Okay.
Because you can't measure velocity in a pipeline if your sales team isn't tracking what they're doing every day.
Yeah.
Right? And so you say, hey, sales team, I know you want to hold me accountable for my leads, but once I deliver these leads to you, how fast are they moving through the pipeline? I'll never know because you're not tracking your activity. Right. And so the velocity metric is usually one where both marketing and sales teams can come together and they can say, okay, sales has to track their activity so that marketing can track the velocity. And we're all on the same page that we're trying to measure how many days in the pipeline, or days from first touch to close, or days inside an RFP, right? And all of those velocity metrics, they're all really kind of hard to measure, which is why we like to start with one.
You said that velocity is a measurement that typically brings sales and marketing together. So when you say that, are you saying just brings the activity together or actually brings the group together in alignment in a way that they're working well together also?
Yeah, the latter, right? Like if we are all aligned around trying to improve velocity, which is from a senior leadership perspective, this is a point of view that they would appreciate from the marketing team, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the marketer. I would like to increase how fast our top of funnel leads become closed deals. And that's a project that I want to work on, boss. And they're like, great, that sounds awesome. That can always be improved, right? How are you going to do that? Well, first, you have to benchmark where you are today.
Yeah.
And you can't see the velocity in the CRM because the sales team isn't tracking activity, which is really the only thing that is, velocity makes sense.
Right.
I mean, that's an easy metric for you to say, hey, sales team, in order for me to move things faster, I need you to be diligent in your tracking in the CRM because velocity is only a measure of time.
Yeah.
You can only understand time if we're tracking all of the activities in the CRM.
Right.
So it's a cool place for marketing and sales to meet.
It's a good idea. I like that because really to get to a closed state, I mean, yeah, everybody wants it to go to a closed one, but man, get it to velocity on closed lost as well, right? Because you just don't want all that junk in your pipeline that's not ever going to go anywhere, nor do you want to spend time talking about it. Every time you do that, that's a waste of time and effort. So
when you get real sophisticated, which is not where you should start, but much further along in a sales and marketing team's time together, right?
Yep.
You can start to measure time to disqualify.
Okay.
You should be disqualifying super fast. And there should be a ratio of qualified to disqualified that is more disqualified than qualified.
Okay.
Right? Because all that opportunity cost of trying to market and sell to someone who's never going to buy from you to begin with is actually where the business is spending money. Enterprise value is lost inside opportunity cost. So if you can shrink the ICP, if you can get hyper specific on who you should be reaching out to, and you can kill anything that isn't qualified immediately because you're tracking velocity of closed lost,
right,
and rewarding it, right, you can get faster deals with better potential customers.
Tell me about the revenue engine. Well, one, tell me about the book, right? What caused you to write it? What got you there? But then also just the framework itself. What was the genesis of all this for you? I'm assuming probably am I right? Did the framework come first and then the book came after? Is that how it worked, or was it the opposite?
Yeah, I think so. I think we as a company needed a way to, it was actually an internal problem. Our internal problem was our people. We would hire these bright marketers.
Yeah.
And they would come in and they would use all of their bad habits.
Okay.
So we say, hey, this is how we do things here at LeadCoverage. And then they would add their own spin on it and be like, no. We don't do it like that. You got to stay in our box.
Yeah.
So we needed to write the how we do it. Right. Okay. So first we kind of wrote the how we do it, tried to train our people on it.
Yeah.
And then I follow a podcast called Two Bobs. They talk about the art of selling expertise. And they said, hey, if you just share it all, share all of your expertise, write the books, give it all away. When your potential customers come back into you to become a customer, they are pre-qualified and they will pay you more money. You will be able to charge a premium because you are the expert.
Yeah.
And it has worked. So
okay.
We wrote it. People were asking, why are you writing a book? That seems like a lot of work, right? And it was a ton of work. And I said, one day, one of the big guys, we only do logistics and technology and transportation. So we're very much in supply chain space. Okay. I said, one day, one of the big guys is going to say, hey, we should hire this lady. And they're going to say, why? And they're going to drop the book. Be like, we should write the book on it.
Right.
And it actually has already happened.
Oh my gosh.
The book came out in November, and a couple of the big guys have reached out being like, hey, you wrote this awesome book and we want to hire you to consult for us, which is exactly what you want a book like this to do.
Oh my gosh. So you wrote it in November of 2024. It came out and already you've gotten
you won.
Wow.
Yeah, you won. So that's 5 months into, it's an Amazon bestseller. The other thing is we are super niche, right? We only do supply chain. So sending this book into the marketplace was relatively easy because I had built an audience, right? So I had been sharing for years and years and years on what we do and how we do it. I've been sharing the methodology. I've been sharing the framework. but no one really like could put it all together because it's like big, complicated, and it's demand gen, right? And so when I shared the book, like actually getting like published,
Right.
the supply chain ecosystem were so kind. Like they just tripped over themselves to make it an Amazon bestseller and to be super kind about it. And so, yeah, we're on stages. We've written the workbook that goes with it. So now we have an 80-page workbook that we're taking on the road show. We're doing workshops. Like it's been such a great experience. It really has been.
That's great. So is it more of a how-to book, or is it more of a fable with how-to? Or I haven't read the book yet, but now you've got me intrigued and I want to.
Yeah. So it's definitely a how-to. It's a 9-step process. So it's 9 chapters, and then there's a chapter on AI, of course. So it's a how-to, but there are 3 funny stories in the book that are actually like kind of hilarious. The first is how we change boys into girls to get truck drivers to open emails.
All right.
I
like that one.
The second story is how I trapped my husband into marrying me.
Okay.
And so I use the dating scene in Chicago as an example of a marketing funnel. And then the last one is how I was fired from being Girl Scout cookie mom.
Right.
Because I got a little overzealous on selling cookies online. And I equate that to volume, velocity, and value. So there are really like moments of my personality that come out in the book. It doesn't read like a textbook. It's actually pretty fun. Yeah, I've gotten compliments on like, hey, it's really easy to read, and you like your personality comes through, which is really fun.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm going to pick it up then. Right. Great. So,
it's free on Spotify. You can just listen to it. It's 6 hours of me talking, which is kind of annoying.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, because I work out a lot, right? Do that kind of stuff. Yeah. Podcasts and books are my thing every morning. So, if I can get it there, I'll do that then. Perfect. So, hey, dive in, if you will, a little bit. I'm looking over here because I've got the framework setting here, right? Methodology, funnels, and measure. So dive into the framework a little bit, as much as you feel comfortable. I don't give away the secrets in the book.
I wrote a book on it. We can do it. Yeah. Okay. So the methodology is the first 3 pieces. So I want you to think of the revenue engine as a 9-step process. I really hate that it's 9, but it really needed to be 9. I wish it was 3, but 3 big chunks. So the first chunk is the methodology, which is share good news, track interest, follow up. So I'm a marketer. You will not hear the B word out of my mouth. We don't use the word brand.
Okay.
So share good news is everything that is sort of in the content world. We don't love the word content. Lots of people have bad experiences with content agencies. And with ChatGPT, what it is today, no one should be paying for content, right? Yeah. We are paying for sharing good news. So really understanding what your ideal customer profile wants to hear and then sharing that with them. 2 is tracking interest, which is everything that happens inside of your CRM, marketing funnel, etc. And then follow up.
Okay.
So a bunch of cool stuff, lots of stats around follow up and how do you follow up at LeadCoverage, etc. Yeah. Second section are the funnels. We believe that there is a prospect funnel, which is where your strangers go. A nurture funnel, which is who you're marketing to, and your customer funnel, which is cross-sell, upsell. Okay. And then the last 3 of the funnel we talked about, which is volume, velocity, and value, and how you measure all of the activity that you're doing inside the funnels using the methodology, share good news, track interest, follow up.
Got it. So if I were somebody who's, grabbed your book, right, or I grabbed the framework and I'm like, I love this. Is there a logical place to start? I mean, is it a big bang? Like, hey, Rick, go do all of it at one time. Have fun with that. Or is there a logical kind of waterfall? Do this first, which, kind of brick upon brick, build it. How would you implement this?
It definitely builds on itself.
Okay.
The number one thing that we talk about in the book that you absolutely have to do is understand your ideal customer profile.
Okay.
So we have an exercise on how to execute understanding your ideal customer profile, demographic versus behavioral, your ICP versus your persona, which are 2 different things. And then how to really understand your TAM, like what is the total addressable market? Yeah. We don't get into like TAM, SAM, SOM. That's pretty like SaaS specific, right? And so what we kind of do is we use the best practices from the SaaS community. Okay. I spent 2 years reading every book written by every SaaS like seller, right? Yeah. and we apply it then to this kind of old school B2B, specifically supply chain ecosystem. We're kind of taking the best of the SaaS world and applying it, but we're really making it simpler. Like how do we make this as simple as possible? So yeah, you should be able to take the book and kind of apply it inside your work.
Okay. So if I were to do that though, you get the 3, it's really 9, but you kind of get these 3 buckets: methodology, funnels, and measure. Would I start with methodology first? Was that kind of how you, and then I would move to funnels, then I would move to measurement, right? Okay.
Same way the book was written. I do wish there was a world where I could move the measurement to the front.
Yeah.
Because I think people kind of give up on the book at some point. I always do. I kind of like give up on a book after I'm like, okay, like I've had enough, right? And the last third is so important. Like,
right.
It is just so important because I say this in the book a lot. Finance is the language of the boardroom.
Yeah.
And if you are not bringing ROI specific math to the boardroom, you will get asked to lead the boardroom.
Yeah.
And so I think really important is this measurement component. And if I could, I would switch it, but it doesn't make any sense to switch it.
Right. No, it makes perfect sense. Give me maybe an example with someone that you've worked with, one of your clients, right? And you don't have to say who it is, obviously, but give me an example. Give me a success story. They were here. We implemented the framework over X amount of time, and then this was the result of that. And, give me one of those.
Yeah. So I won't name the client because I haven't really asked their permission to share it on this.
Okay.
So I was so many good case studies. My favorite is actually in the book, and it's ITS Logistics. I guess I will name them because they're published in the book. So I appreciate them being willing to share their story with our audience.
Yeah.
When we walked into ITS Logistics, they're a freight brokerage. And if you know anything about the freight world, there are lots and lots and lots of freight brokerages, like 5 to 15,000 of them.
Wow.
So what do you do that's different than everybody else? Kind of like a dentist. Like, what do you do that's different than everybody else? Like, clean teeth, right? Like you move freight. Yeah. It turns out that they do this one very specific thing more than anybody else, called drayage, and it's where you take the actual container off the boat and put it on a truck. Okay. And so they can use it all 26 ports. And that's weird. Like doing it all over the country is kind of weird. Normally you have like 1 or 2 places you do this. And so we said, okay, well, do you have math on this? And they said, yes. So we put together the very sexy and exciting ITS Port Rail Ramp Index, still happening today. Okay. And we share this index with the marketplace. This good news is exactly what their ideal customer profile is looking for when they're trying to solve their internal problems.
Okay.
A good example is tariffs, right? Just happened, right? So, hey, there's this new tariff thing happening, which will continue to happen for the next 3.5 years. We have plenty of news coming out of DC, right?
Yep.
So what's the impact on the overall supply chain? And how do I take that impact and change my operational processes inside of my business as a shipper? And so they're looking to this index for one of the many points that they're going to use to change the way that they're going to market.
Yeah.
So this is a really good example of share good news. And we take good news and we run it through the HubSpot engine, make a dial against it, and we can track the activity of the inbound records or cross-sell, upsell opportunity from this very specific activity.
Yeah.
So when we started with them, they weren't really putting anything into the marketplace. And now they are, and it's been hundreds of millions that we can attribute back to the index.
Oh, wow. And directly, it's not, they're not like, well, that's good, but it's kind of fuzzy. I mean, they're absolutely A connects to B for them.
Yeah. So the short answer is yes. The long answer is attribution is always a journey in B2B.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's never hey, this one, there's always a brother's uncle dog walker that knew someone or saw someone at a trade show. But in total, we know that this index is moving the needle on behalf of their team. And it's also making it easier for them to sell other things too, right? Because now they're a known brand where before they not.
So the index you created came from, really, I guess it's in the methodology piece, but that pushed through to the funnel, to measurement, the whole thing.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole thing. So sharing good news.
Yeah.
And good news doesn't have to be your press release. It doesn't have to be your newest hire. It doesn't have to be a case study. Good news is just your point of view on something that your customer cares about.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's a good qualifier too, right? I think sometimes from a marketing standpoint, we're just we're trying to come up with cool things to say and cool things to represent. But your qualifier is no, it needs to be something that good news is what your customer wants to hear about. Right. It's what what gets them going. I mean, if you're in a highly regulated industry, then, maybe it's, they want to hear about security, or, whatever it may be. So, okay. Is this only, you feel like your framework is only applicable to the, logistics, transportation, or is it applicable?
No, I was so happy. I've been home for a few days. I'm on the road a lot. I've been home for a few days and I've been doing a lot of podcasts as I've been at home. Right.
Yeah.
We had more than one person tell me that the book has made it into someone's hands who is not logistics oriented.
Nice.
I talked to a woman in California who got her hands on it, and she runs an energy company. I talked to someone else who has a client in the Midwest that does they help with potholes.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it's made its way into other markets. It will not help anyone in B2C. It will not, there's no B2C content in it at all. But if you are selling B2B, the book it's applicable for anyone that kind of is in this space.
Let's dive in a little bit further and talk about intent data, right? And talk about ABM. Are you a big fan of ABM? Not a big fan?
Huge fan.
Okay, talk about it. Because I've been, we've done some stuff with ABM. For me, again, it's one of those things that's hard to understand sometimes the impact of that. So I need you to teach me.
Oh man, I love intent data. So ABM and intent data are associated, but not the same thing. So when I share some education around intent data, I like to use the word ABM as the word healthcare, right? So just healthcare, ABM is a giant word, right? But what does it really mean? We like to pull out just the intent data portion and talk about that. So account-based marketing is targeted, it's specific, it's personalized, etc. The piece that we really like to talk about is intent data and programmatic media buying. And if you're not doing programmatic media buying, you're not really doing a fully fledged ABM motion, right? And so people talk about, oh yeah, we're doing ABM. And then we get in and we're like, oh, this is just targeted selling.
Well, tell us what programmatic media buying is.
Yes. So programmatic media buying comes from one of the ABM or intent data tools. Our favorite is 6 Sense. If you can't afford 6 Sense, we like Rollworks, Demandbase, Terminus. There's a whole bunch of them now, right? If they are looking for the buying signal inside of the ideal customer profiles that you tell it to look for, and they are surrounding that human, not the company, but the human being, with advertising specific to what you would like to show that person. Yeah. So it's a really cool, it's awesome. And I'll give you an actual case study on how it worked for one of our clients. The caveat to great programmatic media buying and intent data is that it really works best for enterprise customers. So these are billion plus, really making big decisions, right? So if you think about my network, I'm in supply chain. So I want you to imagine we're talking about, I don't know, Nike, Whole Foods, right? Big brands, right? That have big supply chain needs. Right. So we work for a consultancy, essentially, big, huge consultancy. So think the McKinsey of warehousing, right? And so they are, they're looking only for Fortune 100, Fortune 50. So we load up their list of their prospect customers, and we see that their customers are surging, which is the intent data word for looking for the keywords on robots, very specific robots. Now, we don't sell robots. That's not what we sell.
Right.
We sell warehouse consulting. But the robots are a signal that something is happening inside the supply chain. So let's get in front of these people before they pick the robot.
Yeah.
And let's see if we can help them choose the right robot, help them implement that, etc. And so loaded up the list. Boom. There are 15 of these companies that are surging out a very specific robot. My PR team then re-releases a press announcement for a partnership that happened in 2021.
Right.
We get new fanfare. We get new pickup in the press. We have new good news to share.
Yeah.
And we 5 of those 15 from target all the way up to 6 QA or opportunity.
Wow.
And yeah, it was awesome. And then a humans at those businesses, because we're executing programmatic media, the human beings at those businesses are seeing this messaging, right, all over the internet, wherever they go.
Yeah.
One guy clicks on it and they close a deal for, a crazy amount of money, $1 billion, whatever it is. And so the point is, we are listening for the keywords that are not always specific to our business.
Okay.
Same example for ITS Logistics. They are sending out an index on drayage, but drayage is just one part of what they do. They're a fully integrated supply chain management company. They can do everything from drayage to full truckload to small parcel to warehouse to contract negotiation. They can do it all, but they go to market to this one specific node because they have a problem they can solve. So my warehouse customer, also same situation. We saw there were robots that needed to be purchased. Hey, what's changing in your supply chain that you might need robots? Can we help you with the whole thing?
Right. Got it. Okay. So that's good. So you got to be looking. So not just looking for keywords that are very specific to my or my company, my industry, but I'm listening and I'm watching for those words that are tangential. Can't say that word to what we're doing as well, because it lets.
We're all looking for pain.
Yeah.
We're looking for any pain.
Yeah. Got it.
You can tell me where your pain is. I can maybe find a way to solve it.
Yeah.
And if I can't solve it, maybe I'll give you someone else that can solve it. And then the next time you have a pain I can solve, you'll trust me a little more.
Yeah.
Because I helped you solve the first pain. We are really looking for keywords that are surging, that are pain-based.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Okay. You mentioned a minute ago about AI. And so how is how is AI? I mean, it's everywhere now and everything we're doing. How is it impacting marketing and ABM and all the other things? What's happening there? What's going to happen there?
So I think AI is I'm all in. I love everything about it. It's like Kara Brown ChatGPT. So we loaded up the whole book, and then I post to LinkedIn every day. So every new LinkedIn post goes into the LLM, the large language model, and then you can ask Kara Brown a question. And we've trained it to only answer the way that I would answer.
Right.
So she doesn't use emojis, no prepositional phrases. She's very direct, right?
I like that.
Yeah, she's not very nice. She's very direct.
I'm just asking, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think this is incredible. I think we will continue to build these large language models for clients.
Yeah.
I think I said this yesterday on a podcast. I think that no one should be paying for content anymore, right?
Yeah.
Content needs to be coming from the large language model. Building the large language model we should pay for, and the distribution of the content we should pay for. But the physical execution of the chat bot that is now building this content for us, we should all be using this at scale. And we are, we use it internally. We have an incredible group of writers, and the writers, my team, are instructed to get started with a prompt, right? Don't look it up like piece of paper. That's no longer your job. So I think it's coming. I think the other thing that's super cool, which is tangentially related to AI, is all things psychographic profiling.
Okay.
So I just thought this was the coolest thing for the last, I think it's been at least 4 or 5 years. There's a tool called Crystal Knows. And if you type it into LinkedIn, someone's name, you can see their disc profile before you even get on the phone with them. And I just think that is the coolest thing ever. And I think it'll continue to develop, and we'll have these psychographic profiles inside of HubSpot. You're able to see who you're getting in front of, and what should the all look and feel like, and should I have a deck, and should I not have a deck, and should I be brief? And I love everything about preparing my reps. What is the best information they can have to solve the customer's problem as fast as possible and beat to the deal.
But I think I agree with you. I think that's the next. I mean, I think that's where it's going. And I'm with you as well on the AI. It is the first thing I hit now. And it took me a little bit of time, just like it took me a little bit of time to switch to, Amazon delivery on the front porch. Right. And it was just that wasn't my first thought. Just go get it. But I got there. Right. And now with AI and whichever AI you use, it is the first place I go for anything and get the 70%, 80% solution, and then be able to personalize and customize and make it right. But it is just such a game changer,
Yeah.
So it's awesome. So you worked for a long time, big corporate organizations, companies. What kind of caused you to make this switch to be the entrepreneur and write the book? And, just what's the trigger? What happened?
Yeah. Full transparency is I got fired a lot.
Okay. And why did you get fired a lot? It was this crazy story in your book, right?
All the time. I mean, I didn't get fired a lot. I got fired twice. But I've always been this person, right? I've always been kind of aggressive and goal-oriented and driven. And this personality doesn't really fit in a corporate culture.
Okay.
They want you to be in your box and do what you're told and then bring your report to the meeting. And I've always tried to do 10 things at once and be too many things. And I really, actually, my second to last boss told me, you really need to be in sales. And I was like, no way. I'm a marketer. I'm a marketer by
Right.
Fast forward 20 years, I am definitely a salesperson. I should definitely have sales.
Yeah.
Maybe I will go back and work for him again and sell for him. We'll see. But
Yeah.
I think, I learned that I needed to have my own sandbox.
Yeah.
And as a really goal-oriented person, I needed to be able to set my own goals. It was not a fit for me to try to help a group achieve a group goal and to have my piece be a little sliver.
Yeah.
I needed to own the whole goal.
Yeah.
And generally my goals are bigger than other people's.
Okay.
So I was always stretching for more, wanted to be more, and kind of accidentally stumbled into entrepreneurship. And then a friend of mine here in Atlanta, when we moved here, she said, listen, we had about $400,000 in revenue. And I was at that turning point where either I could make a lot of money being an independent consultant, I could have a couple of clients and make a couple $100,000 a year, or I was going to have to hire people. And she said, this is the moment that you have to choose. You're either going to be a consultant, individual contributor, or you're going to be a CEO.
Right.
And you cannot be both.
Yeah.
You can't be the doer and the leader. So if you want to be the leader, you've got a whole new set of skills you need to learn, and you need to learn them fast.
Yeah.
And here's the club that can help you with that. Or just stay individual contributor and make a couple $100,000 a year and relax, right? But don't people and try to build. And I'm really grateful for that advice, because I definitely chose the CEO track.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much in the last 8 years. I've grown so much. I truly believe that a business can only get as big as or can only grow as much as the founder grows.
The law of the lid, man. The law of the lid. That's it.
And I'm having so much fun growing and meeting up entrepreneurs, spending time with them and being pushed by people. And it's just been awesome. I'm really enjoying it.
Any specific, I do a mastermind on growth with a group of folks. So any specific kind of strategy you've got or things that you're doing to make sure that you're on this continual growth path, whether it's a CEO or business owner, entrepreneur? I mean, how do you, is it more random, or do you have a plan that you follow?
I have a plan. There's always a plan.
It should be.
Well, I'm part of the Entrepreneurs Organization, which most people know about. If you don't, it's incredible. About 30,000 entrepreneurs around the globe.
Yep.
And it's the precursor to YPO. I kind of stopped doing the chapter stuff. So sorry, EO Atlanta. I kind of stopped doing chapter stuff, and I really am diving into all of the international learning opportunities.
Okay.
So they do Harvard, Wharton, London Business School, Oxford. You can do a week a year or 2 weeks a year in all of these incredible learning opportunities. And so I've really taken advantage of that. And that's actually how the framework for the book came about.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I went to EO Harvard, which is 5 days at HBS, Harvard Business School, with Harvard professors. And we did 12 case studies in 4 days. It was wild. It was just
that's a lot.
7 things to midnight. It was so much learning. It was just cramming so much in.
Yeah.
And every single case study we did had a framework. And I walked out of Harvard and I was like, I have to build, if I'm going to do this, if I'm really going to be this thought leader, if I'm really going to take this to the next level, I have to have a framework. And so it was Harvard that taught me, hey, you need to have this, or you can't really write a book about it. You can't be the thought leader without it. And that was the inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I love the frameworks, right? I mean, yeah, I can have a lot of great ideas, but it's hard to train someone else on it or get somebody else on board without a framework to kind of hang everything on, So anyway, that's incredible. That's cool. Well, I know we're probably have kept you longer than I should have. Sorry about that. But here's the deal. We've covered a bunch of ground, right? We've talked about your entrepreneurship. We've talked about your, the work you're doing with your business. If I were, let's say I was a new marketing manager and I came into a business and I'm like, it feels wheels off. What would be the top 3 things? Let's think about key takeaways. What would you tell me to focus on? What are the top 3 things you'd say, Rick, do this, do that, and do the other? What would that be?
I'm going to sound like a broken record, Rick.
All right.
Well, one is ideal customer profile.
Okay.
Write it down, get your leadership team to agree with it, and maybe more importantly is get everyone to agree to what it is not. I think sometimes it's easy to say this is our customer, and it's harder to get people to agree to who is not your customer. So it's a pretty easy exercise. Just flip it over and say, okay, who are we saying no to?
Yeah.
Get everyone to align on that. That's the first one. And then the second is all the way back to measurement, right? We talked about this at the beginning of the podcast, like measure one volume, one value, one velocity metric, and bring a point of view to that meeting. And if you do it inside the framework, you can say, hey, we're going to share good news, track interest, and follow up against these specific ideal customer profiles.
Yep.
You're going to measure how many, how much, and how fast. Yeah. And if you do that to a leadership meeting, they're going to be like, this is a different kind of marketer. Like she didn't mention the color of the logo. She didn't mention the website. She hasn't mentioned social media. She didn't mention blog posts. She didn't mention swag, right? Like that is not what leadership wants to hear from you. What they want to hear from you is how top line, how are you going to contribute? And then however you get it done, they don't really care. Nobody really cares about how many mugs you're going to buy or what the marketing email looks like. Nobody really cares.
Yeah.
What they really care about is who are you talking to and how are you going to measure your activity? Yeah. The actual activity itself is up to you. That's what they hired you to do.
One of the things that you're doing, and I think you're talking about here, is also keeping it simple. Don't bring me 30 metrics to look at. I don't want to see it. I don't understand it. I don't care. But give me the 3, right, that I can follow with you. And by the way, show up every week with that. Be consistent. Build the trend, right? And on top of that, tell me what you think. What do we need to do? Because you're the expert in the room, right? Tell me what we need to do.
Even if you don't know what to do, like even if you are like young in your career and this is your first job, or you don't really know what's next.
Yeah.
If you have this base of ICP and measurement, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
Like the leadership team has done this before. They've seen it done well before. Or you can say, hey, I don't really know what's next, but I'm going to go ask a smart marketer, but I'm still going to start with ICP, volume, velocity, value, right? And if you start there, like, they can call you, they can call me, they can call my friends, they can call someone that they respect in the face and get ideas for what's next. But that baseline is so important.
Got it. Okay, cool. So I got a couple of takeaways in from you. So one, lock down your ideal customer profile, right? And then I really like it's almost like the pre-mortem approach, right? Agree to what it's not. It's easy to agree to what it is, but agree to, get the team in the room and agree to what it's not. That'll help refine it. And then secondly, it comes back to measurement. So volume, value, and velocity. Those are the things. Okay, got it. Cool. Well, I appreciate it so much. Thanks for your time. If everybody's interested, they can find you on LinkedIn easily. I found you there easily. research. So good for that. Look at the Revenue Engine book is out there. And I think you're going to be like, I was looking at your schedule of seminars. I think you're going to be in Dallas, unless it was an old post. So you're going to be in Dallas on May 30th.
Oh, it's brand new. We are on the road. We are on the road this year. The Revenue Engine book is available, and then the workbook will be available very shortly.
Okay.
But it's on 80 pages. It takes you through exercises of IQ and measurement, how are we doing, and trade show math, and all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah. So we're taking on the road. They're 2-hour workshops, and then we can have those larger conversations about volume, velocity, and value.
Okay. So really, if somebody's interested, they should go find where your workshops are too.
Yeah, sure.
See if you're close, and then enroll, get there, learn.
Yeah. They tried to hit the whole country throughout the year, so we're around.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate the conversation, and have a good rest of the day. Great weekend, and look forward to kind of following you and see where this goes.
Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.